guys, it's Tina and I am back and I am here with my full review for the Natasha Denona 28 eyeshadow palettes, which I recently hauled. I did a full swatch video, so I will link that down below in the description box. It gives you live swatches of both palettes, so check that video out. I also have a blog post that I will link below that shows HD pictures of the swatches and of the eyeshadows. So if you prefer to see photo stills, I will link that down below as well. You can check that out. But we're gonna jump into the review of these eyeshadows. Are they worth the hype? Like, what's behind this crazy price point, and are they truly worth it? So let's jump into it. And the first thing we're gonna address is the major pink elephant in the room, which is the price point. These eyeshadow palettes retail for $239. Let me repeat that, $239. Now granted, you are getting 28 eyeshadows in the palette, and these are full-size eyeshadows based on the information that's provided on the Natasha Denona website. These are the actual sized eyeshadows of her singles. So her single eyeshadows retail for $29 each. Yep, $29 each for each of these eyeshadows, and they contain 0.08 ounces of product, which sounds like a lot, especially when you look at the pens in the palettes. You're like, 0.8 ounces, okay. With my Makeup Forever eyeshadows, these are 0.07, and that is definitely throwing me off a bit, because these, looking at them size wise, the Makeup Forever eyeshadows, if these are 0.07, how are these 0.08? But I'm sure the depth and the volume of the pens are different. I don't know how it works out, but I'm just gonna go with the information that's provided, and that these are 0.08 ounces a piece. And when you compare them to single eyeshadows on the market, you have the MAC single eyeshadows, and these are 0.05 ounces. The Urban Decay eyeshadows are also 0.05, but then you have different larger eyeshadows on the market, like the MAC Pressed Pigments and these foiled eyeshadows that are 0.1 ounces, and then even the Kat Von D ones are 0.1 ounces. So there are larger eyeshadows on the market, and those range in price of $20, $21, $22, but these each are $29. And if you truly calculate it, you're getting 28 shades here for $239, which equates to about $8.50 each, when each of the eyeshadows are $29. So it's a value palette based on Natasha Denona's pricing by itself, without factoring other elements in, just based on Natasha Denona's pricing, then this is a value palette. However, if you match it up against other palettes on the market, so say the Urban Decay Vice palette, that's $60. You're getting 20 shades, and those were all 0.05 ounces at $60. So you're getting 20 shades for $60. Or even say the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette, where you got 24 shades. This was under $60. And even here you have the Lorac Mega Pro 2 palette that contains 32 shades. Mind you, these are smaller eyeshadows, but this is less than $60 as well. So we can go through different eyeshadow palettes that don't even come close, okay? Even come close to the Natasha Denona palettes. Now, if you go high end, say Dior palettes or Tom Ford palettes. I mean, a Tom Ford quad is $79, and you only get 4 shades in it. So if you truly started comparing high end, so you have Tom Ford, you have Christian Dior, you have YSL, you have even Lancome Becca. If you start comparing their palettes, the Dior 5-color eyeshadow palette is $62. The Tom Ford quad with 4 eyeshadows is $79. So price-wise, if you compare it against high-end, and if you're comfortable paying high-end prices, then this palette may make sense for you price-wise. But honestly, I can't find myself comparing Natasha Denona, who for all intents and purposes is an indie brand. Natasha Denona is an Israeli-born makeup artist that has done different things in the makeup world, and she's gotten different awards, and you know, she's done great things, and she developed this brand pretty recently, in the last couple of years. So it is an indie brand. It's only available online, and for now, you could only get it on the Natasha Denona website, and now it's gonna come to Beautylish, which brings it to more people, but you cannot swatch Natasha Denona's eyeshadows or products in store. The return policy, although Beautylish has a great return policy, so if you were gonna purchase this, I would say do it through Beautylish, because if you did end up returning it, Beautylish has a no fuss return policy, and I am, in fact, and we'll get into that, going to return mine. But I cannot with any part of me compare Natasha Denona to Christian Dior and YSL. Even the packaging is subpar when compared to those palettes where you're getting luxury. Like, you are seeing the luxury in these palettes. Add to that the ingredient list. So price wise, I think it's just a ripoff, especially for an indie brand that's an up-and-coming brand. For you to come out of the pocket with that price point when you haven't established yourself as yet, I'm just like, excuse me, no, try again. But when you compare her single eyeshadows, then you can see how the price point makes sense. But for me, the price point, when you compare it on the market, it's just, no, it's absurd and it's crazy. And to be fair, a makeup artist, which these are intended for, may be comfortable paying that price, and that's fine. You're gonna use it for your professional kit, and that's fine. A casual makeup user is not gonna be comfortable setting down $239 out the gate on one palette. Now, mind you, I have purchased like Makeup Forever eyeshadows or Kat Von D eyeshadows or even MAC eyeshadows, and I've bought like 10 of them, and the price is probably $200. But I'm also getting 20 single packaged products that the packaging also factors into the price. I can return these, I can swatch them in stores. This is an established brand. These I had to buy blindly. It's bulk packaged, and the packaging is not even luxurious, so I'm not paying for the packaging at all. All I'm paying for are the eyeshadows. So I don't see the casual makeup user plopping down $240 just whatever. That was awesome. I get one palette and I feel great. So yeah, the price is bullshit is pretty much what I'm gonna say. It's bullshit. Now that we've mentioned all that and beaten that dead horse, we can look at the packaging, which I have covered again in my swatch video, so check that out. But as I mentioned, the packaging is pretty basic. It is nothing spectacular. It is not luxurious. It is all white, which may fool you into thinking, oh my god, that is so couture and so high fashion. It's a patent leather palette, which is beautiful on its own. If the price point was lowered, be like, oh, that's a sexy palette. But it's an all white, well, a black and white palette. It's patent leather with Natasha Denona embossed on the front. There's nothing on the back. It is a plain, simple palette. There are no eyeshadow names printed on this, so don't even expect that. Inside, it's just plain black with the eyeshadows seated down below. There are 4 rows of 7. And it's a pretty looking palette when you look inside, but there's no bells and whistles here at all. You have a clear divider that's perforated, so you can remove this. No eyeshadow names like I mentioned. And then there's a medium-sized mirror. And honestly, the mirror is not even that high quality, but you can definitely use it to apply your eyeshadows. However, it doesn't stay up, so you'd have to hold it in place to apply eyeshadows if you were interested. It is a foam and cardboard packaging, which makes it a little bit more durable and better for travel. So if you were gonna place this in a kit or travel with this, I think the packaging is nice and secure for travel. I mean, nice and protected for travel. However, it's held together by 2 magnets, so make sure you would have to slip it between something or make sure it's held together so it doesn't open up and damage the eyeshadows inside. Apart from that, I think it's very basic, simplistic, you know, run-of-the-mill packaging. There's nothing special about it apart from it being white and aesthetically pleasing. But it's a pretty basic packaging. You're not paying for any kind of luxury here at all. Now let me go ahead and show you the swatches, and we're gonna jump into the product and formula. Like I said, there are full live swatches that I will link below, but these are just the overall swatches of the eyeshadows, and they swatch beautifully. I swatched them over primer using a brush. They swatch beautifully, they build up nicely. They're very nice eyeshadows when you're just looking at them on the surface. They're very pigmented, so there's a lot of pigment and color packed into these. and they're smooth and they're buildable, and one swipe will get you a lot of color payoff, and they blend nicely from what I could tell from using them. They're nice eyeshadows. So you see the swatches, they're beautiful colors. Tell me they're not beautiful. They're extremely beautiful. And depending on what you're into, you may get the purple blue palette, which is filled with purples and blue tones, or you may get the green brown palette, which is pops of greens and different neutral brownie tones. And I think the color selection of the palette is nice, but for instance, in the green brown palette, there are a lot of neutrals here that look very similar. They differ a little bit in texture, but they're very similar colors, and depending on your skin tone, they are gonna look the same. So you're getting almost duplicates of the same shade here. They don't vary enough. So there are a few shades in here that are like that. I would say you're gonna get some crossover in about 5 of the shades. So 5 out of 28 shades, and you're paying a whopping price for it. You may not be happy with that. Also, there are only 2 mattes in the green brown palette. So these 2 mattes right here. There are a couple of satins, so you have 1, 2, 3 satin shades that can pass as mattes. They almost perform like mattes, but the majority of this palette is completely shimmer and frosty shades. And if you're not into that, I am big on matte shades. This palette is more of an accessory palette because you would still need to factor in your blend-in shades that are matte for the crease area, and like deepening shades like a matte black or a matte brown, and definitely a highlight shade, because these, you don't want to put shimmer all over the eye unless that's what you're into. Then putting a brow bone highlight shade, you might need to grab some other palettes. So this palette is not a standalone palette for me. You would definitely need to bring in other shades from your collection to make this a workable palette, which may not be a problem if you have a large collection, or if you're a professional, you already have those shades and this is just your accessory palette. Next, for the blue brown palette, you have a few more mattes here, and this would be my preferred palette. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mattes in this palette. And these actually are beautiful mattes. They have a deep navy and a deep black, and even a deep berry tone. That would be great for building up dimension in the crease. But again, you need to bring in blend-in shades, because as you can see, there are no neutral tones here. So if you need a blend-in transition shade, you'd probably need to bring in your own, as well as highlight shades, because there are no highlight shades here as well. Underbrow highlight. I mean, you can use some of these shades on the inner tear duct, not an issue. Shimmer goes great in the inner tear duct, but for underbrow highlight, you might want to go with a matte. So you definitely need to pair these palettes with colors in your collection already, or with a separate neutral palette to help you with blending and highlight colors. And again, in the purple blue palette, there are some shades here, the neutral shades, because there are some bronzy golden shades in here, and some rose gold shades that are crossover again. So there are about 5 or 6 shades in here that look very similar. So keep that in mind. Again, you're gonna get some duplicate looking shades as well. Now that I've rambled on and gone into the price and packaging and the colors and all that, let's talk about my overall thoughts about this palette. Is it hot? Is it not? Honestly, it's not hot for me. I am returning it, as I briefly mentioned before. And you're like, what? I am returning these palettes with a swiftness, and it's really simple for me, the ingredient list. Now, when I got this palette, there are no ingredients listed on the Beautylish website. There are no ingredients listed on the Natasha Denona website. There is no ingredient list anywhere for these eyeshadow palettes. The only place the eyeshadow ingredients are listed, likewise with the colors, are on the box itself. Oh, don't be fooled, by the way, because the colors on the box, the grid here that shows the color names and the numbers, they're different based on what version of the palette you get, because apparently they change the palette at some time. So you'll see pictures on the Natasha Denona website that doesn't line up with the palette that you get. The palettes, the numbers and the colors are scrambled around. So the only place that you can find out what the shades are on the back of this palette. And I will link that on my blog as well. You will see the ingredients and the shadow names. Now the ingredients, first ingredient is talc and mica for the majority of the colors, and that doesn't surprise me too much because eyeshadows, they use talc and mica. However, some people have a sensitivity to talc, so if you have talc allergies or you have a reaction to talc, don't even look at these eyeshadows because the first ingredient is talc. Mica and talc are the first ingredients. They're used for slip of the colors. They don't bother me too much. Again, there are different qualities and different levels of talc and mica and how they're processed, so not a big deal. But then you move down and you move down and you're like, they use sunflower seed oil, dimethicone, beeswax, all these different slipping ingredients that are used to really create that shiny metallic effect. Did I just whistle? Yes, I did. That shiny metallic effect and that smooth, rich, creamy pigmentation, almost like a cream eyeshadow, but not. Yeah, so that's what they're using that for, which is fine. I am happy with that. Makeup Forever is packed with dimethicone and silicones that give that slip and that shine. Even the Kat Von D eyeshadows that I recently swatched as well that are beautiful also have dimethicone and different slip-in ingredients. Perfect. That explains why they're so metallic and shimmery and beautiful. And then we get to the parabens. Methylparaben and butylparaben. Great. I am sending that back just because of that. And I've mentioned parabens before in my Morphe eyeshadow review. There is no full FDA study on the effects of parabens and how it relates or links up to breast cancer, but we have seen where parabens, they found traces of parabens in breast cancer tissue. Now, take that for what it's worth for you. That's all good and well for you. So if you're okay with parabens, have at it, go for it. That's on you. I have chosen to, I'm trying to limit my exposure to parabens, especially in non-essential products like makeup. I mean, really, do I really need to be exposing myself to carcinogens in makeup? No, it's like makeup is so not critical in my life that I can avoid parabens where necessary. It's my money I'm spending, so I can choose to spend my money on products that don't contain parabens. And there are far too many eyeshadows on the market that are using organic ingredients. They're paraben free. They don't contain phthalates. And why should I take my money and invest in a brand and eyeshadows that are packed with parabens? Just like I didn't think the Morphe eyeshadows were worth it for me to expose myself to parabens, I don't think the Natasha Denona eyeshadows are worth it to expose myself to parabens either. In fact, I will say this. If you're okay with parabens and the different level of parabens don't bother you, you're like, oh, well, you know, maybe they don't cause cancer, maybe it's not that big a deal, go for the Morphe eyeshadows. And Morphe released single eyeshadows now that are $5.99 a piece. And Morphe eyeshadows, parabens aside, they are smooth and pigmented. The shimmer shades are beautiful. And I was so upset when I saw the paraben thing. I'm like, crap, I can't even use these because I'm not going to use them. And I threw them out. But when you swatch them, and I'll link my Morphe swatch video down below, you can check that out as well. They are so pigmented and so beautiful, some of these shimmery eyeshadows. The matte eyeshadows are probably not the best, but their shimmer eyeshadows are beautiful. And they have a very similar formula to Natasha Denona with the mica and the talc and the parabens. So honestly, I would recommend you check out Morphe. Their 28 eyeshadow palettes are $19.99 or $23.99. Like, you're not paying more than $25 for 28 eyeshadows from them. And they have a similar formula, they have great colors, and they have similar pigmentation. And they have parabens. So if you're cool with parabens, I'm not recommending them, but if you're cool with parabens, go for Morphe. I'm telling you right now, go for Morphe. Similar freaking formula, similar ingredients, go for Morphe. Over $239 for parabens and a subpar formula. This ingredient list pissed me off. I will not, like, I'm looking at the ingredient list. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me right now. Are you telling me that I'm paying $239 for 28 eyeshadows for a formula that is similar to Morphe and cheaper eyeshadows on the market? You've got to be kidding me. You're kidding me. that is how I felt. I felt so jaded and so gypped. I'm like, nope. Beautylish, please issue me a return form because I am not here for this. So I have ranted about that and I am done. And that is all that there is to it. These are being returned. Beautylish is awesome if you're okay with parabens. I still don't recommend these because I feel like you can get much cheaper eyeshadows, similar quality, to be honest, similar quality as these with a similar formula. So those are my 2 cents. I can't be bothered. You know what? I'm done. So hopefully this video and my rant was entertaining for you, maybe even helpful. And yeah, I will leave links down below to my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page where you can follow me along. And until my next video, which will be very soon, I'll talk to you. Bye guys.